in one of my normals, Starbucks, where I was working on what mischief I could thrust upon a youth group in the coming months. I was sitting there when my friend said, "John, is that you?" I almost didn't recognize you. I've never seen you with your hair so long. Oh, I used to have hair really long back in the day, but I decided I was going to grow it out for a bit and see what I thought about it. And that's when my friend put your boy on blast by saying with a smile, "Oh, dude, you're not having one of those midlife crisis things, are you?" I get it. Wait. I'm far too young. Well, maybe not that young. But I still ain't having no midlife crisis. I ain't going to play. I go all in on souped up Chargers or a Camaro like a normal person. I'm not growing my hair out so I look like one of those aging rock stars that's just hanging on to the past. No, actually, I started growing my hair out because my wife made a comment that my hair was looking a little thin and that my constant hat wearing was playing a factor in said thinness. So as a joke, I told her that I was going to grow my hair out so it would look way less thinning. Saying that out loud makes it sound like I'm maybe going through a midlife crisis, which I ain't. Funny thing happened though. As my hair has gotten longer, something happened. My normal wavy hair I had as a youth has gotten more curly. Maybe it's all the gray in there, I don't know, but with age, it's gotten curly. But for whatever reason, my wife was digging it. So we decided that when one of us gets truly tired of my new hippie look, that's when I will go under the razor, so to speak. But I really got to thinking about my friend's midlife crisis comment and how almost offended I was by it. Not so much that he made the comment about my gorgeous locks, but that I was growing them to change the perception of who I am becoming. The new Fabio of this generation. Thank you very much. And even though that could be a very real thing in my mind, it's not likely going to happen in reality. Nope. The thing that made me think was, why do we do things to change ourselves into something else? A guy hits 60 and buys the Porsche to feel younger? The guy acts outside his norm to impress a girl? A girl puts someone down to impress the clique? Maybe you smoke a cig or drink a beer to impress someone you think is cool. Well, all have those peer pressure moments. We all have them. But are we willing to make that change when the change isn't to gain something others cannot see the benefit of? I want to read a passage from the Bible. Then after, I want to talk about how we got there. The passage is in your Bible in 2 Samuel 12, 1 through 13. If you have a Bible app on your phone, you're more than welcome to use that. 2 Samuel 12, 1 through 13. While you're looking that up, I'll go ahead and start. The Lord sent Nathan to David. When he came to him, he said, "There were two men in a certain town, one rich, the other poor. The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except for one little ewe lamb he had bought. He raised it and grew up with him and his children. It shared his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his arms. It was like a daughter to him. Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had come to him. Instead, he took the ewe lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for the one who had come to him. David burned with anger against the man and said to Nathan, "As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this must die. He must pay for that lamb 4 times over because he did such a thing and had no pity." Then Nathan said to David, "You are the man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. I gave your master's house to you, and your master's wives into your arms. I gave you all of Israel and Judah. And if all this had been too little, I would have given you even more. Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and took his wife to be your own. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now, therefore, the sword will never depart your house, because you despised me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your own. This is what the Lord says. Out of your own household I am going to bring calamity on you. Before your very eyes I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will sleep with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in broad daylight before all of Israel." Then David said to Nathan, "I have sinned against the Lord." Nathan replied, "The Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die." Now, when we read this, we see Nathan the prophet giving King David a bit of a rebuking. But we need to talk about how we got there. King David, the man after God's own heart, is having a bit of a restless night, and he goes up on the roof of his palace. As he's looking out amongst the buildings, he spots a beautiful woman bathing. David is instantly smitten and sends someone out to find out, who's that girl? After a bit, the messenger comes back and tells David that this woman's name is Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah, a leader in his army. David didn't really care about who Bathsheba was married to. He was king, and he wanted her, and soon Bathsheba was found to be pregnant by King David. We got a problem here. The man after God's own heart did the unforgivable. He slept with another man's wife, but the king can fix it. So he kept the pregnancy under wraps and decided to make this thing go away. David brings Uriah back from war to come home, to be with his wife. Then when she shows her pregnancy, everyone will think it's Uriah's baby. Problem solved. Okay, all my soap opera fanatics, we know something is going to go wrong with the plan. And yes, something goes wrong for David. Uriah could not understand why he would be pulled away from the battles and given a special treat, so to speak, so much so that Uriah did not even go inside to be with his wife. He sleeps outside the gates. A show of solidarity to the boys, his fighting men, I guess. This blew David's mind. But guess what? Uriah may have ruined the initial plan, and David's problem will be showing, literally, itself very soon. So David devises another plan. The army was to go into battle with Uriah up front, which was unusual for a soldier of Uriah's rank, as the pawns are the ones that go first. But not only was Uriah to be at the front when the battle starts, all the rest of the men, when a sound was made, were to retreat without Uriah knowing about it, and leave him to fight and die alone. And this time, David's plan worked. Uriah was killed. David marries Bathsheba, looking like the empathetic king, and Bathsheba's pregnancy looks legit. In a soap opera, this is all's well that ends well. And even the way they went about it was shady. The good guy come out in the end. But then Nathan comes to David and says, "Not so fast, brother," and proceeds to tell David a story, a parable, if you will. A rich man with lots of sheep prospers by hook or by crook over a pauper with one sheep that is sacrificed. And the rich man wins in the end. And Nathan asks what should happen. The story so enrages David that he says the rich dude has to go. And I don't mean on vacation or even jail. Dude has to be eliminated and give 4 times what he took. Nathan, without hesitation, drops a truth bomb on David. Yeah, the dude you want to kill, that's you. Sounds different using sheep, but you used your power, your influence, and your money to take something that didn't belong to you. And you killed Uriah in the process because you had to have it and not be found out as a scoundrel in the process. Dude, you're that guy. I love, though, that David immediately got it, right? He realized that what he had done was against God, and Nathan lets him know that because of his actions, calamity will now fall upon the house of David. And even though David does clean up his act and follows God, there was calamity the rest of his reign. Starting with the baby Bathsheba was carrying. 7 days after the baby's birth, that baby died. To start off this lesson, I talked about bad things we do to be included in part of a group or to be a specific person. We change so we can hang, right? Mentality. Afraid of missing out, of doing whatever it takes to get what we want. There are also times when we give the perception that we are doing what the group is doing just so we can hang. The group is making fun of someone, so you are standing in the back, not saying anything, so you do not qualify yourself as doing what the others are doing. I want to give you an example. You go to a party with your friends. The parents are not there. And the person whose house it is tells you, "Hey guys, beer's in the fridge." You know you're not to have any. But all your friends go in and they grab one and start drinking. And start hassling you to get one. Which you know you are a dead man or woman if you grab one. So, you go to the kitchen, you grab a beer, and you wait for the room to clear. You take said beer, and you dump the contents of it in the sink. Then you grab a cola, and you dump the contents of the cola into the beer can. Then you rejoin the party. All night you continue to do this, drinking cola, acting like it's beer. Do you see this as changing who you are? It absolutely is. Even though you didn't touch one drop of alcohol, you obeyed your parents' rules. You have given the perception to everyone else that you do this, that it's okay, and have set yourself up to do it again the next time. As you didn't have the courage to just say, "Nah, I don't do it." Or, "I can't," because you think you won't be able to hang with these friends again. Don't we do something very similar when it comes to our faith? we believe in God, trust in His ways, and do our best to live it out, then when we get with a certain group that is not living according to Christ, then we live more like them. Aren't we pretending to be something we proclaim we are not? Doing stuff we know we should not? I kind of see this behavior kind of like when I used to play video games back in the day. One of my favorites was called Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! It was a game where you were the boxer fighting your way up the ranks to finally meet Mike Tyson for the championship. Games back then were all, it seemed, designed very similarly, especially fighting type games. Each fighter had his strengths and his weaknesses. As you went up the ranks or higher levels, their strengths got stronger and their weaknesses became harder to find. But the biggest flaw in most of these games is that it was just a pattern to beat it. Each fighter, some very similar and some quite different, jab, step aside, punch, punch, step aside, punch, punch, then repeat. That's how you beat the first fighter. Still remember it to this day. And he was the easiest. Once you learn the patterns, it was easy to win the game. Even Tyson had his pattern. I think we tend to live out this way at times. And those around us see that. Oh, she is a good person, but she likes to talk about people. He's a good athlete, but he never lets anyone else take a shot. When people see your pattern, they either feel this is something they can live with, or they won't. Then about 10 years later, I then fell in love with another game, Guitar Hero. Even though it was playing specific notes and strum at the right time, never really it worked on a pattern specifically. It worked on my ability to play the right notes and hit the strum exactly right. And if I conquered that, I could change songs or even make that last song harder. I see this in our faith journey. We decide to follow the chords that Jesus lays down for us. Now, we may miss a chord now and again, but that's okay. You don't get knocked out. You lose a few points, but you keep moving forward. If you can live without fear of one mistake and I'm toast, or listen, life is not perfect, but if I play the song laid out before me as best as I can, I get to move forward to the next song Jesus has for me. Or even delve deeper into the area I may feel God has me doing more for Him in that same area. I love the restart of games today. Heck, now you can even program your own player in some games, making you an almost super player. When you live for God, we want to be better. We know the attributes we want to have to live life out for Him. We start to want the qualities of Christ, to become the super person God has made us to be. But our lives, sad to say, aren't like video games as much as, I would say, a computer. Everything seems good to us and normal till the computer stops, freezes, or starts to mess up. Everything looks lost. We need a fix, and we have found the best way to fix it most times is to reboot the computer. Just to simply turn it off and restart it. In our life, I look at the reboot as when we truly come to know who Jesus is. We accept who He is, and we actually want to reboot our lives. We turn off all those things that have been slowing us down or destroying our programming. The Jesus Reboot is a fresh start. The things that were keeping you from living a Christ-like life are cleaned up. This doesn't mean that you were totally fixed by any means. But now you know what it takes to get back to the correct programming. But the more you run on Jesus' program, you start to see the upgrades without having to purchase them. God gives them to you willingly. Now, guys, I totally get that our faith is much, much greater than a video game or a reboot to a computer. My question is, do you? Do you see that without Jesus, we are not running on full power? We are called as followers of Jesus to do just that, to live a life that follows Christ. God isn't asking you to change your avatar. He is asking you to change the things and behaviors your avatars do. So, as I think about the question about my hair and my midlife crisis thingy, yes, the hair of my avatar may have changed. But the parts that God gave me to serve have only gotten better. So I would never ask what your avatar looks like. I want to know what qualities for God your avatar has. And even though I may look like a younger version from Doc on Back to the Future, my hair, as lovely as it is all part of the great design of how God has made me. No come-over needed. But the Mustang in the parking lot is my midlife crisis. Just kidding. I'm much too young for all that.